Oh boy, another Charlie's Angels movie that no one asked for. What's up everyone, welcome to Ashley Talks Movies. Today I'm doing a review of Charlie's Angels, the new film directed by Elizabeth Banks, starring Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and newcomer Ella Balinska. Oh, and also Patrick Stewart's in this movie for whatever reason. So in this version of Charlie's Angels, Naomi Scott plays this engineer who discovers a flaw in some technology that she helped develop, and the flaw could make the technology basically a dangerous weapon. So you bring in the angels to help keep the world safe. Yes, this film is kind of interesting because it's not really a reboot, and it's not really a remake, but it's kind of a sequel to the other Charlie Angels movies and adaptation of the 70s TV show, which is where the problems start. And there are many, many problems with this film. So, let's just get to the review. To be honest, I didn't have a lot of high expectations going into this film. The trailers didn't do this film any favors. It didn't sell it for me, so whoever was in charge of marketing, those trailers were terrible. And so, while I didn't have high expectations going into this film, and even though the film wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, it wasn't very good either. And part of that is because this film had a lot of problems. More problems than it had bright moments. And I'll get to the bright moments later. But first, let's talk about the problems. Right off the bat, the plot for this movie is a jumbled mess. It's thin. The plot is so thin, and it didn't have to be as weak as it was, because you have so much to pull from, and it was just paper thin. It was just paper thin. There wasn't much to it, which is a shame. Tone was also a problem with this film for me. Charlie's Angels is known for being campy. I mean, the original show was in the 70s. You got disco music going. It's not super serious, right? Okay, and the films that had the films from the early 2000s that had Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu were very much the same. They were sort of tongue-in-cheek, fun action films, right? So this film, the new Charlie's Angels film, tries to be that, but it also it tries to be cheesy, tongue-in-cheek at times. Then it also tries to be a little bit more of a serious action movie, and it doesn't quite know what it wants to be. The dialogue is pretty bad. Not pretty bad. It's bad. The dialogue is bad. A lot of the jokes in this movie don't land. And this movie does rely on humor a lot because, again, it's trying to be tongue-in-cheek. But the jokes don't work. There are a few occasions where it does work, and I'll get to those in the bright moments section of this review. But for the most part, the jokes don't work. The action sequences and stunt work in this movie are terrible. So bad. I mean, it was like, how do I best describe it? Just watching them, it just wasn't believable watching the Angels fight, because there's so many cuts there, and a lot of action sequences, especially when you're doing fight scenes, rely heavily on, the choreography and also the editing. And, if you're throwing a punch, you have to cut it just right to make it look like that person actually punched the other person. That doesn't happen here in this movie. So it's just, the stunt work is not polished. It needs to be cleaned up or something, because it was just not believable and it wasn't very good. Which is a shame, because for a movie like this, it's an action movie. You need your action sequences to be good. All these problems with this film also rest on the directing, which Elizabeth Banks, as I mentioned before, directed the film. She also wrote the screenplay. And I like Elizabeth Banks as an actress. The roles that she's been in, I've enjoyed her. I like her on screen. I think she has this great energy, but I don't think she's a strong director. At least the last couple of films that I've seen as with her as a director, I don't think she's very strong. And it's very apparent here. This film just could have been so much better. There are a few bright spots, though. A few. Very few. But one of them is Ella Balinska, who I mentioned before. She's a newcomer. She plays a character named Jane, and she's really good here. She has a lot of scenes where she's doing a lot of fighting and a lot of action, and I was surprised because I don't know her from anything. And she was really good here. Kristen Stewart, who I'm not a huge fan of, was actually really good here too. Her character Sabina is sort of a go-with-the-flow, sarcastic type, and she plays it so well. And the few humorous moments that actually work in the film, the jokes that do land in this film, are delivered by Kristen Stewart. So kudos to her. She actually did a really good job here. The chemistry between Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and Ella Balinska is really good here too. So you have these three lead actresses in this movie who have great chemistry together. Their acting is good, but the movie itself is not that great. So it's just a waste, which is again a huge shame. Patrick Stewart's in this movie, and he's good in it. I mean, he's almost acting in a different movie though, but he's good with what he's given. And yeah, that's about the only positive things I could say about this film. As I mentioned before, this film is, I guess it's kind of a sequel. It's more of a sequel because it does reference the older Charlie's Angels movies, and it does reference the TV show in a really weird way at the beginning of the film. And when you watch the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just this weird way that it sort of ties them all together. But honestly, I'm not a fan of reboots or remakes and origin stories, but I almost would have preferred if this film had been a complete reboot. Like, start from the beginning. Have Kristen Stewart, Naomi Scott, and Ella Balinska's characters be recruited into the Townsend agency for the first time, and they're meeting for the first time, and they've got these clashing personalities, and like they're trying to figure out how to work together and get along and be angels, while there's this big threat that comes and they're tasked to help save the world or whatever. I would have preferred that over whatever this was. I can't recommend this film. If someone asked me, like, Ashley, I want to see Charlie's Angels, would you recommend it? No, I would not. So that's it for my review for Charlie's Angels. Hit the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the film. Please like and share this review, and don't forget to subscribe.